Hi everyone, my name is Camila. I'm 32 years old. I need to tell you about Tuesday dinner because that's when everything crystallized. That's when I understood with perfect clarity that I'd spent 26 years invisible in my own family. My brother Marcus called in on video. He was glowing, practically vibrating through the screen. "We found a house," he announced, and Mom actually squealed. Actually squealed like he'd cured cancer instead of just locating a 3-bedroom ranch in a decent suburb. "Show us," Mom demanded, and Marcus panned his phone across granite countertops and hardwood floors. Dad leaned forward, reading glasses perched on his nose like a judge reviewing evidence. I sat at the end of the table, fork halfway to my mouth, pot roast cooling on my plate. "How much do you need, son?" Dad asked. His voice had that warm honey quality he reserved for Marcus. Only for Marcus. $100,000 would close the gap, Marcus said. "We've got good credit, but the down payment." "Consider it done," Dad interrupted. "We'll wire it tomorrow morning. This is an investment in your future, Marcus. You're building something real." I set my fork down. The ceramic clicked against the plate, loud in my ears but apparently inaudible to everyone else. "What about me?" I asked quietly. 3 faces turned toward me like I'd started speaking Mandarin. "What about you?" Dad's warmth evaporated instantly. "I still have student loans," I said. My voice stayed even through practice. "Interest at 6.8%. I'm working 2 jobs. You refused to help with school. You said it wasn't a good investment. You went to state school," Dad said, dismissive. "For graphic design. Unserious." "I asked for $15,000 for tuition," I continued. "You gave me an Applebee's gift card for Christmas that year. Marcus got the BMW. Marcus was studying business," Mom cut in, defensive now. "Real career prospects. You were always so artistic." She said it like a diagnosis. Marcus shifted on screen, uncomfortable maybe but silent. Always silent when it mattered. "I paid my own way through everything," I said. My hands felt cold. "I worked campus catering. I worked retail on weekends. I graduated with $42,000 in debt and you gave me a $50 Visa gift card at graduation. You should be grateful we came to your graduation at all," Dad said. His voice had gone hard. "You've been a disappointment since you were 16, Camila. You chose the easy path. State school. Art classes. Now you're what, designing greeting cards?" "I'm a senior designer at a tech firm," I said quietly. "I make $78,000 a year. And Marcus makes $140,000, Dad countered. "That's the difference between ambition and mediocrity. That's what failure feels like, Camila. What you're feeling right now." The room tilted slightly. Not metaphorically. The actual room seemed to shift on its axis. No one argued with him. Mom studied her napkin. Marcus had gone quiet on the screen, probably muted himself. I stood up. My chair scraped against hardwood. "I'm finished with this dinner." "Don't be dramatic," Mom said, but I was already walking toward the door. "Camila, sit down," Dad commanded. "We're not done discussing." "I am," I said. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't slam the door. I just left. The night air bit clean and cold. I didn't have my coat. I walked to my car. A 2011 Honda Civic with 140,000 miles and a check engine light I couldn't afford to diagnose. And I drove to my studio apartment. Rent was $1,400 a month. My second job was doing freelance design work until 2 a.m. most nights. I had $126,000 in savings. No one in my family knew that. I'd been saving since I was 19. Every graduation gift from aunts and uncles. Every tax return. Every freelance check. Every raise. I lived like a monk, drove a failing car, ate rice and beans, and I saved. Because somewhere deep down I'd always known I'd need to save myself. That night I made 3 decisions. First, I changed my phone number. Second, I blocked every family member on every platform. Third, I started looking at property. Mrs. Chun from my apartment building found me crying on the stairs 2 days later. She was 73, had lived through the Cultural Revolution and didn't tolerate nonsense. "What happened?" she asked, settling beside me with surprising grace for someone with arthritis. I told her everything. The dinner. The $100,000. The casual cruelty. That's what failure feels like. She listened until I finished. Then she said, "You know what failure actually feels like? Staying. Letting them continue. You're already successful, Camila. You just haven't given yourself permission to see it." "I feel like I'm abandoning them," I admitted. "They abandoned you first," she said simply. 26 years ago. You're just finally noticing." She patted my hand. "What would you do if you were free?" The answer came immediately. "Buy land. Grow something." "Then do that," Mrs. Chin said. "Life is too short to wait for people who don't see you to suddenly open their eyes." 3 weeks later I found the property. 40 acres in the foothills, 2 hours from the city. Foreclosure sale. The farmhouse was a disaster. Peeling paint, rotted porch, kitchen from 1973, but the land was good. The previous owner had been an organic farmer who'd lost everything in a divorce. The price was $380,000. I bought it cash. I kept my tech job, they let me go remote 3 days a week. And I spent every other moment on that property. Weekends smelled like sawdust and primer. My Spotify playlist learned every wall. I sanded floors on my knees for 6 weeks. The grain rose under patient, deliberate passes. I learned to tile. I learned to plumb. I watched YouTube videos until 3 a.m., then practiced the next day. Tom, my neighbor 3 miles down the road, started showing up with tools and advice. He was 68, had farmed for 40 years, and had the kind face of someone who'd chosen kindness deliberately after seeing its alternative. "You thinking crops or livestock?" he asked one Saturday while helping me replace a fence post. "Both maybe," I said. "I keep thinking about lavender." His eyes lit up. "Smart. Lavender's gold if you do it right. Drought tolerant. Multiple harvests. Value-added products." He paused. "I'll teach you beekeeping too. Lavender and bees, that's a marriage made in heaven." So Tom taught me beekeeping. Calm hands, slow breath, steady frames. The bees hummed their approval and I found I could breathe fully for the first time in years. I started therapy with Dr. Walsh. She specialized in family estrangement and complex trauma. "Your parents' voices colonized your thoughts," she said during our 4th session. "Let's evict them gently." We worked on boundary scripts. No is a complete sentence. We worked on evidence folders. I had every text, every email, every documented instance of favoritism archived and timestamped. Not for revenge. For reality. So I couldn't gaslight myself later. Protective expectations, Dr. Walsh called it. Plan for their absence. Build a life that doesn't require their approval to function. I planted lavender in cautious rows. 5 acres the first spring, then 10. I researched varietals and soil amendments. I joined farming forums and took extension courses. The work was brutal and satisfying in equal measure. My tech job stayed stable. My boss Dana didn't ask questions when I requested permanent remote work. "You're producing excellent work," she said. "Where you do it doesn't matter to me." The first harvest came in July, 18 months after I'd bought the property. Purple rose stretched toward the tree line. The scent filled the valley. Tom helped me cut and bundle. We worked dawn to dusk for a week and I sold everything at farmers markets within a month. The farm paid for the farm that first year. I hired 2 employees. Emma, a college student who needed flexible hours, and Tyler, who was aging out of foster care and needed steady wages and real training. I paid them $22 an hour. I extended hours when Emma needed tuition savings. I wrote Tyler a reference letter for community college that made him cry. "Why are you helping me?" he asked. "Because someone should have helped me," I said. "And because you're worth investing in." The farmhouse transformed. I'd restored the oak floors, updated the kitchen, added solar panels. 3 hives became 6. I got goats as a lawn crew. They had personalities and opinions, mostly about what constituted acceptable fencing. I didn't contact my family once. Not on holidays. Not on birthdays. My phone number stayed changed. My social media stayed dark. I slept through the night for the first time since I was 12. 2 years and 3 months after that Tuesday dinner, my brother Marcus took a wrong turn trying to find a wedding venue in the foothills. He drove past my property. Lavender rose in perfect rows. The tin roof gleamed. My truck sat in the drive. The farmhouse looked settled, permanent, real. He took a photo. An hour later my new phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. But I was expecting a call from a bulk buyer, so I picked up. Camila. My father's voice. Thin with surprise. How did you get this number? I asked evenly. Marcus saw your place, he said, ignoring my question. He said, is that really yours? The 40 acres. Yes. How did you? We didn't know you'd moved. You weren't supposed to, I said. Silence on the other end. Then, I checked the property records. The appraisal says $2.3 million. It does, I answered. How did you afford that? Did you marry someone? Take out loans. I bought it cash, I said. Saved for 7 years. Worked 2 jobs while you told me I was a failure. Renovated it myself. Built a business. A business. Lavender Farm. 6-figure revenue last year. This year's looking better. I kept my voice steady, factual. I also kept my tech job. They let me work remote. Why didn't you tell us? His voice had shifted. Not quite warm, but softer. Calculated soft. Because you never asked, I said. In 2 years no one called. No one checked. You got what you wanted. My absence. That's not fair, he started. I have to go, I said. I have a harvest to manage. Wait, Camila, we should talk. We can help you expand. Contacts. Capital. Real guidance this time. No, I said simply. I don't want your involvement. Don't be childish, my mother's voice cut in. She grabbed the phone. We're family. You said I was a failure, I reminded her. My voice didn't shake. Dr. Walsh would be proud. At Tuesday dinner. You sat there while Dad said, that's what failure feels like. You said being artistic was a diagnosis. You gave Marcus $100,000 and you gave me an Applebee's gift card. We can discuss this like adults, Mom said, but her voice wavered. We just did, I said. And now I'm hanging up. I blocked the number. The email came the next day. Subject line, investment proposal. I archived it without opening it. 3 days later, a courier delivered an envelope. Inside, a check for $100,000 and a note in my father's handwriting. For your college loans. We should have helped then. We're helping now. I took the check to my office. I put it through a crosscut shredder until the numbers disappeared into confetti. I put the scraps in an envelope with one line written on my notepaper. You can't buy forgiveness. I mailed it back certified. Marcus called from his own number a week later. I saw his name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. Kim, it's Marcus. Look, I didn't know they were treating you like that. I should have said something. I should have. His voice cracked slightly. Can we just talk? I miss you. We all do. I deleted the voicemail. The second check came for $150,000. Same courier. Different note. Please give us a chance to make this right. I shredded that one too. Mailed back the scraps with no note this time. My father showed up at my gate on a Saturday morning 3 weeks after Marcus's wrong turn. The camera timed. I watched him on my phone from inside the farmhouse. He wore khakis and polished shoes, his weakened face. He looked smaller than memory allowed. I pressed the intercom. Leave, I said steadily. Camila, I drove 2 hours. I just need 5 minutes. His voice came through tinny and thin. I was wrong. I'm sorry. You had 26 years, I said. You used them poorly. Please, he said. The word sounded foreign in his mouth. Your mother she's not well. This has been hard on her. And whose fault is that? I asked. Kept my voice level. Come. You told me I was a failure. You funded Marcus's everything and gave me nothing. You dismissed my degree, my career, my entire existence. Now you're here because you discovered I don't need you. That's not an apology. That's panic. I want to make amends, he said. Forgiveness isn't reconciliation, I said quietly. It isn't access. I've forgiven you for my own peace. But that doesn't mean you get to come back into my life. We're your family, he said, and now his voice had an edge. The old authority trying to resurface. No, I said. Mrs. Chin is family. Tom, who taught me beekeeping, is family. Emma and Tyler, who work beside me, are family. Jennifer and Mark, who invite me to holidays, are family. You're just people I used to know who hurt me consistently for decades. I turned off the intercom. I watched him stand at the gate for 11 minutes. Then he got in his car and left. The voicemails continued. 17 from my mother over one weekend. 6 from Marcus. 3 from my aunt asking what was wrong, couldn't we just talk like family? I blocked each number as it appeared. Tom found me in the lavender fields that evening, checking irrigation. You all right? He asked. My father showed up, I said. At the gate. Tom nodded slowly. What did he want? Access, I said. Now that he knows what I've built. And what did you tell him? That access is earned, not presumed, I said. Not purchased. Tom smiled, the kind of smile that held decades of hard-won wisdom. That's exactly right. He paused. You know, my daughter didn't talk to me for 5 years after her mother and I divorced. I'd hurt her. Made choices that prioritized my pain over her stability. When she finally reached out, you know what I didn't do? What? Show up demanding forgiveness because we shared blood, Tom said. I apologized. I took responsibility. I gave her space. I let her decide if and when I earned my way back. That's what love does. It waits. It respects. It doesn't demand. They're not going to wait, I said. Then they're not going to get what they want, Tom said simply. And that's their problem, not yours. The emails escalated. My father sent a business proposal. He wanted to partner on expanding the farm. He'd contribute expertise and capital for a stake in the business. I replied once, the farm is not for sale. Do not contact me again. My mother sent a long email about family legacy, about how I was breaking her heart, about how she'd given me life and I owed her at least a conversation. I didn't reply. Dr. Walsh had warned me about Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. They'd make themselves the wounded party. They'd rewrite history. I had my evidence folders. I had my time-stamped receipts. I had my truth. Marcus tried a different approach. He sent photos of us as kids. Him teaching me to ride a bike, us at Christmas family vacations I'd forgotten. We used to be close, he wrote. Don't throw away everything because of money. I stared at those photos for a long time. Then I wrote back the only message I'd send him. We were never close, Marcus. You were the sun and I was expected to orbit. Every photo you sent, I can tell you what happened before or after that ruined it. The bike photo? Dad yelled at me for 10 minutes because I scratched the paint. The Christmas photo? That was the year you got the BMW and I got the gift card. The vacation? You and Dad went deep-sea fishing while Mom took me to outlet malls and complained about my weight. Those weren't good memories. They were performances. I'm done performing. He didn't respond. The 4th month after the discovery, a reporter contacted me. She was writing an article about adult estrangement from parents, the hidden epidemic no one talked about. Someone had suggested my story. I agreed to be interviewed on the condition of anonymity initially, but halfway through I changed my mind. Use my name, I said. Use everything. The article ran in a major Sunday magazine. The hidden cost of family loyalty. My full name. My story. The $100,000 for Marcus. The Applebee's gift card for me. That's what failure feels like. My farm. My success. My boundaries. The article went viral. My inbox flooded with messages from strangers. This is my story too. Thank you for saying it out loud. I thought I was the only one. My father sent one email after the article published. Subject, how could you? I didn't open it. My mother called from a new number. I answered because I didn't recognize it. You've humiliated us, she said. No greeting. Everyone we know has read that article. Your aunt called crying. Marcus's colleagues are asking him about it. How could you air private family business? You made it private business when you treated me like I didn't exist, I said calmly. You made it private business when you funded Marcus's entire life and told me I was a failure. I just made it public truth. We'll never forgive this betrayal, she said. Then we finally agree on something, I said and hung up. I blocked that number too. The harvest came again. Year 3 on the property. The fields were established now, mature. Emma and Tyler worked beside me, along with 3 new part-time workers I'd hired for the season. We cut and bundled in efficient rhythms. The market orders had tripled. I'd added value-added products. Lavender honey from Tom's teaching, essential oil through a co-op partnership, dried bundles that sold at boutique shops. The farm generated $220,000 in revenue that year. After expenses and payroll, I cleared $140,000 profit. The same amount Marcus made in salary at his corporate job. Except I own my land. I own my business. I owed nothing to anyone. Emma left for UC Davis that fall on a scholarship for sustainable agriculture. I kept her summer position open. You'll always have work here, I told her. Tyler enrolled in community college for environmental science. He showed me his schedule with trembling hands. I never thought I'd be able to go, he said. You earned it, I said. Keep going. The farmhouse felt settled now. I'd planted a garden, vegetables and herbs, cherry tomatoes that Tom said would take over the world if I let them. I cooked meals I actually tasted. I invited neighbors over. I hosted a harvest dinner with 30 people crowded around tables in the barn. Mrs. Chin came 3 hours on the bus. She brought soup and a check for $500. An investment, she said when I tried to refuse. I invested in you. You multiply everything you touch. I framed that check. I didn't cash it. Jennifer and Mark, the couple who ran the farm 2 properties over, became the kind of friends who showed up with coffee and stayed for hours. Their kids called me Aunt Camilla. I taught their daughter Emma Rose to identify lavender varieties. She was 7 and asked careful, curious questions. Why didn't your family come to the harvest dinner? She asked once. Because they're not part of my life anymore, I said honestly. Did they do something bad? They did a lot of small bad things for a very long time, I said. Until it added up to something I couldn't carry anymore. She thought about this seriously. My teacher says family is who loves you, not just who you're related to. Your teacher is very smart, I said. 6 months after the article, my father sent a final letter. Not email. Actual paper, actual stamps. I recognized the handwriting on the envelope. I sat on my porch for 10 minutes before opening it. The goats watched me judgmentally. The sun set low over the purple rose. The letter was 3 pages. Handwritten. It started with, Dear Camilla, and ended with, Your father who loves you. In between, it said everything I'd needed to hear at 16, at 22, at 28. It acknowledged the favoritism. It admitted the cruelty of that dinner. It recognized the years of dismissal. It apologized. It also asked, carefully, humbly, if we could start over. Not as we were, but as something new. Rebuilt from honesty instead of obligation. I read it 3 times. Then I wrote back. 1 page. Thank you for this letter. I've waited a long time to hear these words. I forgive you. I genuinely do. But forgiveness isn't reconciliation. It isn't access. It isn't a relationship. I've built a life here that works. I've built a family that sees me. I've built peace that doesn't require your approval or your presence. Maybe someday that will change. But not today. Not this year. Maybe not ever. I hope you understand. I hope you're well. But I need you to understand. The gate code won't change. The blocked numbers will stay blocked. This is my boundary. This is my life. I'm keeping it. I signed it Camila, and mailed it without a return address. Year 4 on the farm. The lavender stretched toward the tree line in established rows. I'd added 15 more acres in production. The business had grown to include workshops. People paid $150 for a day learning lavender cultivation, beekeeping basics, farm-to-table cooking using the property's herbs. I hired a part-time manager, Chris, who'd left a corporate job for farm work and never looked back. We walked fence lines at dusk, checking gates. The goats followed like nosy neighbors. You ever regret it? Chris asked once. Cutting your family off? No, I said honestly. I regret I had to. I regret they made it necessary. But I don't regret the choice itself. That's pretty healthy, Chris observed. Therapy, I said. Lots and lots of therapy. The tech job remained part-time now. Dana had promoted me to creative director with a contractor agreement that let me set my hours. Best work you've ever done, she said during my review. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. What I was doing was living in alignment. Work that mattered. Land that thrived. People who valued me. Boundaries that held. I stood at the fence line one evening in late summer. The sun sat low over purple rose. Bees hummed their last rounds before dusk. The farmhouse lights glowed warm behind me. Tom's truck pulled up the drive. He was coming for dinner, bringing fresh trout from his morning fishing. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I glanced at it. A text from Marcus. Dad had a heart attack. So gay. They want you to know. No pressure. Just, you should know. I stared at that text for a long moment. Felt something. Not panic. Not guilt. Just a quiet recognition that the people who'd raised me were mortal. Were aging. Would eventually die. I texted back, "Thank you for telling me. I hope he recovers fully." Marcus responded immediately, "Can we talk?" I thought about it. I really did. Then I typed, "Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I appreciate you respecting that." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Finally, "Okay. I understand. Be well, Cam." I set the phone down. Tom climbed out of his truck carrying a cooler. "You ready to learn how to clean trout properly?" he called. "Always," I said, and walked toward the house where lights spilled warm and real, toward the family I'd chosen, toward the life I'd built with my own 2 hands. That night I slept deeply. Morning arrived without dread, just sunrise through lavender-scented air, just coffee on the porch, just goats demanding breakfast with their opinions on punctuality. I keep the land. I keep my name. I keep the boundaries that gave me back my life. The gate code doesn't change. The blocked numbers stay blocked. The peace remains. And the lavender? The lavender just keeps growing, purple and persistent and mine. Sometimes failure looks like leaving. Sometimes success looks like a field of flowers no one expected you to plant. I planted them anyway. I keep them anyway. I'm keeping them still.